Welcome to another exciting episode of the Bud Rebel Show, a podcast like no other, because this podcast not only has great guests, but we have what we call interesting, strange facts, weird product ideas, and ways to make money even in this economy. We have also end up with a hopeful note for everybody. So, without further ado, I have my guest. His name is Vex. I'm gonna go with you, Vex.
Hello.
I'm not trying to pronounce your last name. How do you pronounce that, by the way?
Yeah. So my last name is, well, in my country we say Dronjak, but we have this
You
kind
said
of
that so well. I want to learn how to do that.
yeah,
Drone Jack. How do you do
Dronjak. Yeah, you can call it the Dronjak. Yeah, Dronjak's
it?
fine.
And where are you originally from?
Serbia.
Oh, Serbia. Wow, it's exciting. Okay. So you are, if I'm right, a writer, producer, director, the whole shebang. Am I right about that?
Yeah, pretty much. Writer, producer, director. Those are like my main three niches, so to say, that I came here to do. Ever
And
since I was young, I was had a dream of becoming a storyteller. So that's what I came here to do.
and if I'm reading your bio right, you around 45 different shorts you made. You've been involved in that many projects?
Yeah. I did a lot of shorts. So here's a little brief backstory. So after high school in 2017, I came here in Los Angeles to pursue my studies in filmmaking. So I went to a school called New York Film Academy, and during that time, I made a lot of shorts in school and outside of school with different kind of people. I did a lot of networking. I worked with multiple production companies. I did a lot of content creation. So yeah, I did a lot of shorts to kind of gain the experience and gain knowledge that will skyrocket me further to more of a feature kind of field, so to say, pretty much.
So when you start out, you said where you were, you said you're originally from Serbia
Yes, correct. Yeah.
and you were born in Serbia. And Serbia, and I know had some very difficult times. Can you tell us a little back
Yes.
your background growing up and all how that worked out?
Well, yeah, and, like growing up in Serbia, of course, like everything like political wise is like difficult, and economy isn't like wasn't in the best standing at all. Uh, it was, well, sort of say it wasn't that hard, but in my sort of field, it wasn't that much opportunities, as so to say, as like here, for example. And that's why I kind of moved here to pursue these opportunities. Because, yeah, you can make it in Serbia as a filmmaker, as an actor, director. But let's say I want to go further. Let's say I want to go to Germany. I want to go to London, right? They're not gonna know me because I'm only an actor and director. I'm only known in like my sort of region. But in my mind, if I go to where to a city where the heart of filmmaking is located at, I can prosper there, and then it'll be way easier for me to move to different regions and to um, work in different regions as an artist, as a filmmaker, as a producer, just because I studied here, just because I started in Hollywood, because the name Hollywood like has a lot of value still, pretty much. So I feel like if I make it here in this city, I pretty much made it in like throughout the whole global sphere, so to say, in like filmmaking aspect. So that was my like kind of like one of my main goals coming here, pretty much.
So but before you were Serbia, what did your parents do? What you do for how they get you to this? How'd you get to this country? Did you get like a student visa? How's that come about?
Yes. So I got a student visa. Thankfully, I got scholarship as well. So they helped me a lot. My dad, he used to work. He runs a furniture store, and my mom used to work in a magazine. So to say, my parents really didn't come from a filmmaking world. I'm kind of like the first one out of the whole family to kind
How
of
they
pursue
feel
it.
about you being a filmmaker?
Well, in the beginning, it was kind of weird. It was kind of like new. Like, why would you, put like, why would you choose this? You can choose this and this and this. But I kind of really didn't see myself doing anything else. I'm very stubborn, so to say, in that kind of aspect. Meaning that if I don't love something, it's very hard for me to focus on it, you know. And filmmaking, storytelling is something that I really love, like from bottom of heart, I really love to do. So to say, that's why I want to focus on and develop my career, like in that aspect.
Right. And when you come to this country from Serbia, you must have been like shocked. What was your first experience? Like, was like really, how was it like when you first got here? How did you deal with all the different, I mean, you had probably a language barrier a little bit, and you probably had
Yeah.
differences of what was like going to grocery stores. But tell us a little about that when you first came here.
Well, it definitely, when I first came here, definitely a little bit of shock for me. Like, it's very different, like, especially with the grocery shopping and everything, like, so to say, like, day to day life stuff. It took me some time to adjust. My English, though, I was always proficient in my English, so that wasn't really hard for me, so to say. More so adjusting to the way things work here, to the climate, to the people, you know. Uh, it took me some time to adjust to it. But one thing that kind of made me like go through it is because I had a set goal, and I'm like, yeah, some things are hard, you know, and this industry is not easy at all, especially to be successful in it. So it's like as long as you have a purpose, as long as you have a goal, it's like okay, cool, you know, it is hard, but through time it's gonna get easier, you know. It's about getting your mind, your body, and your spirit to adapt to different environments, to different situations where you can utilize you can utilize the environment and prosper to it pretty much.
Did you feel like lonely as you came by yourself? Without any family members being by yourself? Where did you stay and
Oh
job
yeah, I
searching?
feel yeah, yeah, definitely. Like loneliness is one of the like mentally it was really hard because like it was very lonely at times, and it's like you just have to have that in you to like push through it, you know. You just have to have that in you to push through it because it does get lonely. It is a hard road, you know. You're gonna have a lot of no's, couple of yeses, you know.
And so you get
But
here, you go to NYU Film School. I guess your family helped finance that. And during that time, you'd make a whole bunch of shorts there. And then you graduate school, and do you go right into filmmaking, or do you do anything else? Did you get right a job right away, or how did that come about in the business?
so thankfully, I was fortunate enough to have a group of people already, with whom I created already a couple of companies with. So while I was in school, I already was working with those people on content creation, on like real estate videos, on short films, a lot of different stuff, right? And through that, I gained a lot of experiences and I gained a lot of contacts, which helped me like after graduating school, helped me like pursue my career further and take it to the next level, I sort of say. So when I graduated school, I already had like a few companies that I worked with, and yeah, I'm just working with them right now. And on the side, I'm also doing my own thing like freelancing, like doing content creation, photography, videography, so to say, whatever comes my way, you know. I'm just accepting work from different fields, you know, and trying to see what I can do. While focusing on that, I'm also working and producing on a couple of other features with those companies I'm working in right now, which will take a longer time, but the reward is also bigger and greater.
I think one of the films you have is called Holiday Twist that you're involved in.
That's right, Holiday Twist. So that was a really fun film to do. I was part of the executive producers team. My job is to bring finances on board, which I did. Me and my business partners, we brought a portion of finances to the production. It was a very insightful and very experience driven journey. I had a lot of fun doing it. It was, you know, it was very stressful at times, but you know, that's what filmmaking is about. It's not like if the problem is gonna rise, it's when the problem is gonna rise. You just need to, you know, have the mindset that everything's manageable. You can always find a way through any sort of situation. So you just need to work it out, you know, whatever it is,
So
whatever it is.
that's a feature film, and you're the one trying to
Yes,
help get people to say, "Hey, give me some money for it." How do you get people? How do you get people to give you money? Tell
so
everybody to go use that
right.
one.
So there's like it sounds well. It is difficult. It is difficult to get people to get money, but there's different ways. For example, the film needs to be in a certain level, right? So the film needs to have three basic things. It needs to have a good script, uh, and based on that script, it needs to have a good genre too, genre that are hot right now. For example, Christmas films always sell. Like everybody's gonna watch Christmas films. Every Christmas, everybody's watching it. So you can always like kind of recycle it over and over and over again each year, and kind of make your residuals through there. So that's a selling point to an investor. That's number one. Number two is you have to have a good pitch deck. Okay, in the pitch deck, you need to have, okay, who are your actors? What's your actors wish list? Who is your director? All right. Is the director well known? If it's not, okay, is one of the actors well known? Do they have experience, right? Because every actor has value in the market. For example, like an A-list actor can have a minimum guarantee of 1 million, which means that if I get that name, the distributors can write me an MG based on that actor's value, which is 1 million. So you need to have a good cast in place as well. And then you need to think about where am I gonna shoot. Like if I'm gonna shoot, for example, in LA, which is like 25% tax incentives, or for example, I'm gonna shoot, let's say, in Greece, which is like 40% tax incentives. So there's also like another selling point where you're gonna shoot. Another thing is that the investors want to know: do you need full financing or do you need gap financing? Most investors feel more secure if the money, if some portion of the money is already allocated into production. If the production has already development funds, and it has acquired certain elements through those development funds. For example, like a casting director, like a lawyer, like a good producer, um, you know, good sales rep. Like all those elements is good to have in the project, and it will entice the investor to invest in the film. And then there are two types of investments, so to say, that I focus on. It's debt financing and it's equity financing. Debt financing is strictly like a basic like bank financing. They invest the money. As soon as as soon as the movie makes money, they get their monies back plus let's say 20% premium right on top of it. But with equity, you're in it for the long run. Uh, those invest like everybody likes equity because they invest in the movies, but then they also get a portion of the back end, as sort of say. So they're entitled to the portion of the back end relating to the amount they invested. So that's also another thing that entices the investors too. Another thing that also works well with investors, if the investors love movies and they want to jump into the movie world, we can offer them a role of a producer. We can even offer them a role of an actor. So another big selling point to the investor is getting to know people that are in the movie. If the movie has good actors, good producers, good director, the investor is gonna be there like on the set. He'll get to meet those people. He get to network with those people, get their connections, get their contacts, like talk with them. And that experience is very valuable because from there, like, there's basically a door open for them to build their career in the filmmaking world, as so to say.
But how do you get the first names? Where do the first names come from? Are they family, they friends, are they, how do you get the names of the people that you don't go down knocking on a door and just say, hey, Joe Schmo, do you want to invest in a film, right?
Yeah, exactly. So the first name, you're talking about the actors, right?
No, no, no. How do you get the investors? I'm saying, once you get it, how do you know who to knock on the door that's going to want to invest in your
Right. So
film?
it's like, so this is an interesting part because every project is like a puzzle. Not every project fits the right investor. You really need to see like what a certain investor is looking for. If, for example, let's say I know a guy that wants to invest in films, but his main thing is to act, right? Then okay, cool. I'll give him good scripts, good projects that he likes, that he can get also an acting role in it, for example, and that can entice him. If for so like the investor is more like on the money side and wants to find something more secure, then I'll find him projects that have good tax credits, tax incentives, and he can lend against those tax incentives, which is a less risk for him. So it just depends. Like every project works differently for with different investors, as so to
Is
say.
there like a list that you have initially, or you just know people in the industry? Is it, that's I'm curious. How do you get the individual people that you call to know who to
Networking. Yeah, networking. Basically, like either I meet them directly, or my friend knows them, and then we get
and they
introduced.
invested in? So it's just being
Yeah,
around people for a long period of time that
yeah,
you
you have to
who
be around
likes to get
people.
involved in these things.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a big thing that I realized when I was in film school is that, okay, cool. Film school is giving me the knowledge, right? It's like teaching me how to operate a camera, how to light a scene. how to like block a scene, you know, which shots to use for different kind of scenes to get a certain emotional impact. Like all that type of stuff is amazing and it's nice, but you need to like go outside and network because that's like 50% of your work basically, you know, because
Right. And so I guess that's the big thing with college as a whole. I mean, college, you learn a lot, but college is who you meet and the connections you keep with people. And if you
right,
keep the good, right connections, then I guess it helps build your whole life in a sense too.
exactly, yeah, yeah, pretty
Wow,
much.
that's it. And how long did it take you to get this financing from the time that you were hired to this job and till it actually the monies came in?
It depends. Like some films, I'm still financing them. It's been like 2 or 3 years. They're going to process financing. Other films, like other finances, happen within like a couple of months. You know, so it just depends. Like I said, every project is like individually. Every project is different from the other one. You know, it's like it's a whole process. Mm, I would have to say I started this like 2, 3 years ago, pretty much. But beforehand, while I was working more on the field on sets, I gained a lot of connections and networking. So to say, is that when I got approached by investors, they're like, "Oh, I'm looking to invest in certain films." I already had it back of my head. Oh my god, I remember Joe,
Right.
way back a couple of months ago on the set. He has an amazing story that will work great for him. So it's kind of like
All
that
right.
kind of thing. Very people business, so to
We're gonna
say.
take a break and then I'm gonna have a business idea that's related to
Okay,
what you're talking about.
okay,
And we're back. So the business idea I was talking about, it came in my head today. And there's so many actors that try to make it. It's such a hard business to make in this whole film.
right.
How about there be an actor's stock market where an investor can invest in a certain actor, or maybe like a mutual fund of actors. Maybe you're investing in actors that are from different countries or different styles, whatever, and you invest in them. And as a reward, maybe you get, if they're in films, you get a percentage of what they get. Maybe you get merchandise. Maybe you also get to go to their premieres. You get to watch them develop. Do you think that's a good business model? Do you think that's something that could work?
Yeah, it's very interesting. Like, especially if the investors are a big fan of a certain actor, let's say like investors like Scott Eastwood, and they really want to invest in them, like or like yeah, that could work. Pretty much, it's already happening, but in a similar way. So to say, like the investors invest in actors that have value. Like for example, let's say I have Morgan Freeman, right? And let's say his value is I don't know exactly. Let's say his value is like 2 to 4 million bucks, right? The budget is let's say 6 million bucks, right? The distribution can already write you an MG minimum guarantee based on an actor's value, which is like $4 million. So to say, I take that MG, I get it to investor. He say, okay, just based on the actor's name, my portion of the investment is covered. So okay, cool. I'll drop in, let's say, $2 million, right? So my money is already somewhat secured. And if I do equity, I get a percentage of the back end. So some investors really look like to
The
see
names.
like the names. They really look
Yeah.
for the name.
But
Exactly.
this would be more for the actors coming up, the ones that
Yeah.
haven't yet made it. So it's like just like almost a penny stock, where you invest in these actors that, maybe you see their little profile or whatever, so that's when you invest in it. That's basically the concept, and it would just give more chances for actors to move up the world, you know?
I agree. It's a very interesting concept, and I feel like it could be done, especially like whoever wants to do it works closely with their agents and with their agencies and with their managers. I think yeah, I like that. I think
So is Holiday Twist, by the way, is it out there right now? People can see the movie as we speak. Is it?
right. So he had a limited theatrical release on AMC theaters across the U.S. I believe so. Right now, it's on Amazon Prime, so people
Oh,
can go check it out now. For
oh,
sure.
that's
Yeah.
really cool. Okay, great. All right, here's some weird facts. You ready for weird facts? It sort of comes
Sure.
in the same area of where part of the world that you live. Oh, no, actually, it's a little further away. Bear fighting was a popular sport in England. Even Henry VIII was a big fan of bear fighting.
Oh, that's cool.
How
How do they so like? I guess well they
do
put
how do they
bears in.
decide who wins, right?
Hmm?
When there's bear fighting, how do they decide who wins? How big is the
Exactly.
ring?
Yeah. How big is it? It has to be like a gladiator kind of ring, to
I
get
would,
to.
I'd be cool to watch. I mean, unless it's got too mean, you know, I don't see them get beat up too badly, but.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't support animal violence, but it's just crazy. Like,
Well, if it was just one punch and a knockout, I guess could deal with that.
yeah.
That's how savage it was, but it was a very popular sport. All right. So one of my other favorite topics, which maybe we'll take a quick interruption because this is something just usually people talk about things they love. Well, on our podcast, we talk about things that we hate. So at this commercial interruption, we're going to talk about things that I hate. Maybe you too.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, we're back. So I'm going to say something maybe even more controversial than Trump. I hate the New York Yankees. And this goes back all the way when I was a kid. Because when I was a kid and the Yankees were good, I was a Met fan. And I suffered endlessly with that. The Yankees would win every year and year. And to me, they ruined the sport. Because what they did is they kept paying for the highest players. So nobody can compete. It was just like who had the most money instead of who had the most talent of like growing the thing. So I hate the Yankees to the point where even after 9/11, I couldn't root for the Yankees. That's how bad it is for my heart. So would you like to tell anybody what you hate?
Oh yeah. Okay, there are a couple of things. You know, I'm not gonna get too deep into it. But I hate when people who become very financially successful kind of lose themselves in a way where, you know, they don't respect. It's not they don't respect. It's a bad choice of words. It's like, okay, for example, like let's say somebody has a lot of money, right? And they just wasted on a bunch of stupid stuff, bunch of stupid stuff. Okay, cool. If you're not gonna utilize that money in a smart way, okay, you can do so by, you know, helping certain communities or helping other people or doing a bunch of stuff, you know, to kind of improve this world, you know. So
Mhm.
it's kind of like, you know, a lot of these people that are in power right now really, I feel like they don't really care about the common folk, you know, the
Sure.
average, and they kind of, you know, that kind of puts a lot of stress in people, especially after the pandemic. You know, the inflation, the taxes went up, like everything started going nuts, right? And you know, people are not happy, and that puts a lot of stress in them. You know, like for example, this country is also facing, like one thing I don't like about this country is the healthcare. You know, like healthcare needs to be fixed. It's like messed up, really. So it's like a lot of these things that I see a way they can be fixed, and I know that there's a way it can be fixed, you know, but people just don't care or they don't want it to be fixed. They just want to make other people's work for them, you know, and I don't like that, you know. I
Sure.
feel like
Yeah, no, if you when you get up, you have to realize who brought you up. And you have to make sure that they have a stepping stool to come up along the path, you might say, with you and you help people in the community. That's always a nice thing to do. I was going to mention that you were talking about people that want to get in this industry. When the pandemic happened as a filmmaker, what happened? How did you deal with that situation?
oh man. So I kind of flew to Vegas as the pandemic happened. My class was over Zoom, and most of the time I kind of flew to Vegas, and I started doing some gigs there too, because Vegas was more like free. Like a lot of people that were still doing gigs there even throughout the pandemic. Like I had to make a living. I had to like do whatever I could to pay my bills. So it was hard, you know, but you just have to find a way. You just have to like, with every unfortunate situation there's also opportunity, and there's also a way to profit for the during the fortunate situation, right? COVID was terrible, you know. A lot of people suffered, you know, but some people also made a lot of money through COVID.
Right.
For example, I'm gonna give an example like AMC stock. For example, if you go going by the stock market, AMC stock was only $2, about $2 or $3 during the pandemic, right? Right now, it dropped. Like recently, it dropped, but for a good amount of time, like a month back or something, it was like $500, right? So if a person were to invest like couple of $1,000s back then in AMC stock and sell it like a month ago, he would already have like around half a million in his bank account.
Oh, why are you telling me that now? We should have a little time machine. You know, if we had a
I
time
know.
machine, if we had a time machine for like, I would say not even, you don't need a time machine for like years. If you had a time machine for 2 minutes before time and you just bought things like 2 minutes before,
Oh yeah.
Imagine if you just, all I need is 2 minutes before what happens, happens, you
Oh
know?
yeah.
That's like insider. I mean, if you had a time machine, I don't know if you'd be convicted of insider trading, but that would be like the best thing. You come back 2 minutes before, you know, tell which
Oh yeah.
team's gonna win, even the Super Bowl. 2 minutes before the end of the Super
Exactly.
Bowl, you put it down just beforehand. That would be like a
Exactly.
little trick, right?
Um, we all be millionaires at Super Bowl, definitely.
It'd be very, very interesting. I have a stock tip for you. I just found out I'm going to be investing in it on Monday, hopefully. It's called Nonex, N-N-O-X,
Okay.
N-N-O-X. It's an Israeli company that has made the whole experience, you know, when you go through the machine of getting a CAT scan, I don't know, the big machine you go through. I'm trying to think of the name of it, that big giant, I think it's CAT scan. They made it much less expensive and much simpler to do. That right now, it's funny because I don't know whether this is because of what's going on in the world, where all of a sudden people want these big companies still want to make a lot of money, so they don't want to introduce it, or whether it's because this Africa desperately needed it. But these machines doing well in Africa, and once it comes to the United States, it just save a lot of money. People that need this type of procedure because you know those machines are very expensive. So this is a company called Nanix, and they have this new machine that's supposed to be much quicker, easier, and less expensive to detect, you know, problems in people's health. So remember that name, N-O-N-N-O-X. My new stock of the
And
tip of the day, you might say. So we'll
nice.
see.
That's
We'll
great.
see. Maybe we'll go back 2 minutes and find out whether that was a good investment too.
Yeah, maybe. You never know.
So two trending topics are going on right now as we speak. I don't know if you heard this. I'm talking about Donald Trump. He came out with his own sneakers. $400 for sneakers.
Really?
$400. Yeah, I
Oh,
don't know. You know, sometimes you buy these things and you leave it away and you don't
yeah.
touch them. It would go up
Uh-huh.
to $400 for sneakers. I'd be so scared to wear sneakers like that. You know?
Yeah. I think it's just basically the names what sells it. Donald Trump is a wide known name, regardless of like he's in politics or not. For example, if Jay-Z sells sneakers, I'm pretty sure they're gonna be going for $100 too. It's basically the name. He's basically like Balenciaga, for example. Like they can put something out and looks the same as another thing from Zara, and you see Zara it's like $60, Balenciaga is $600.
Well, my question is sneakers. You
Yeah.
walk around with sneakers. When you step on something, you can't control what you step on. Why
Oh
would
yeah.
you spend so much money, unless the sneaker is really comfortable? Why would you spend so much money for that sneaker? Unless you like me, you go into a big event, you wear that sneaker just once. Maybe that's what you do. But I
Yeah.
wouldn't wear those sneakers in the street, let's just say.
Oh no, no, not at all. I feel like it's more for show. It's more for show, pretty much. Oh look, I go to a premiere. I have oh yeah, I have these sneakers made by such and such.
Right,
Like
right. I guess that's it.
yeah,
Because I could see, and I don't know whether people looking at your feet as much as they're looking at your face. That's why I wear a hat. You know my film. So I think people look that way, look at the face. I don't know. I guess unless these are really gold, so I guess people will look at his sneakers being gold. I guess I'll make some type of stance. So I guess that's the whole thing. But I'm just like it freaks me out that it's sneakers, which I go through like crazy, step on really gross stuff. But I guess if it's just walking in and walking out and you just wear another pair of sneakers, then I guess that makes sense.
no, yeah, I get that. I mean, personally, I would never spend $600 on sneakers or $400. Yeah. But it's like I can see people spending in on that. People that are more like into collecting, because a lot of people like to collect sneakers, like to collect shoes. Like I have a
Right.
couple of friends who like to collect Nikes. And some Nikes are pretty expensive too, especially the vintage Nikes and stuff. They go for like $300, $400 too. So it's like it all depends from person to person.
Yeah, I
Some
guess it.
people,
But yeah, when I invest in something, if it's expensive, I say, okay, a nice TV, I'm going to use it all the time. It's fine. I don't have to worry about taking the TV outside and going through mud. It's in the house. It should be fine. But that's where I look at it. Number two thing, Daytona 500 major NASCAR race was canceled today because of a rain delay. Now, for those people that flew down to Daytona to see the race and got tickets to come back on Monday, it's a tough one. You can't control those things, but
hope they got reimbursed or something, or like, yeah,
I hope so. Pretty
yeah.
sad. So people want to know more about you. Like, they want to do a film. They need someone executive producer, or they want to see some of your stuff and so forth. How can they know more about what you do?
Uh, how can they know about more? But they can always reach out to me. They always have personal questions and stuff. They can always reach out to me on socials. I'll be happy to look into this stuff to see where I can help.
Are
And
you on
see.
like, are you on, which socials are you on? And can you tell us the
Uh,
names already?
yeah, I'm on Instagram. Instagram is Vex_D. My Facebook is my first name, Velchko, and then Vex middle, and then John Jack last name. And I'm thinking it's the same for LinkedIn pretty much.
Right. And before also, I mean, I didn't get to talk about it. What do you think was your greatest struggle to just go, people go through a lot of difficult moments to get where you were. Was it sometime when it was really hard and you were ready to almost pack it in, you might say, and you had to conquer that, would you say?
Oh yeah, a lot of times. Yeah, a lot of times. I had a lot of times. A lot of doubts. I mean, everybody has doubts. Everybody's battling their own demons. But I come to realize that you need to find your why, and once you find your why, it's like way easier to go through everything. To go
Right.
through trials and tribulations. Because then you have a purpose and you have why. Something is greater that's pushing you. Greater than all these obstacles. So
That's great.
yeah, there's definitely a great motivational
Well,
factor for me.
I want to thank you for coming. I'm going to leave with a final note today. And what I always try to leave with
Okay.
a happy note. It's interesting. I had a discussion with one of my loved ones, and we discussed what a success is. And some people say it's a big house and car. Some days it's the lights and the cameras. I think success is happiness. I think it's the happiness that you feel inside and the happiness you bring to others. And I think the more you do that, the more you feel good as a person. And as a filmmaker, bringing a nice little holiday film to everyone, I think you're bringing a lot of happiness to a lot more people than you can imagine. So continue your good works. Thank you so much for joining us, and God bless everything you do in the future.
Thank you for having me. God bless.
Thank you.